Hello, I'm Ian from Oak and Chain with another installment in my brand new YouTube channel, a place where I want to vent and talk about stuff pertaining to Oak and Chain, selling on Etsy, social media, spirituality, so on and so forth. Recently, my holistic doctor did the whole examination, electrocuted me a bunch of times, so on and so forth, and asked me if, do you perchance get easily irritated? Which my wife found hilarious. We both had a good chuckle over that, because yes, I do. Bit of a hot-tempered guy. Not in an aggressive or violent way, but I get easily irritated about silly things. It was interesting because he said, I defended myself and said, yes, but I let it out, much to the irritation of my wife, who has to unfortunately put up with that. But I let it out, I vent, and he said, well, the trick is just to not get irritated. That's what you need to do. Oh, really? Is that simple? Oh, that's fantastic. I'm kind of holding by my standpoint, which is, I'm a human being, I'm a passionate guy, things piss me off, and so this is one of the ways I let it out. That and knife throwing. That and working in construction, because you get to jackhammer and destroy shit. That's pretty cathartic too. So, today, I want to talk about my love-hate relationship with crowdfunding, or GoFundMe, or group funding. But for the sake of argument, all trademark bullshit aside, I'm just going to call it colloquially as crowdfunding. Only recently, I've kind of noticed, I'm sure it's been going on forever, I'm not an idiot, but I've only recently sort of noticed there seems to be an awful lot of people, small, independent artists, Etsy seller type people, who, not just artists, musicians, everybody, who is going to crowdfunding to fund their endeavors. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with this, as I said, and I'll tell you why. Going back to the first time I became aware of crowdfunding, it seemed like kind of a neat idea. You had interesting ideas for products and things that hadn't yet been patented or developed from people who were unbelievably imaginative. I'll give human beings the credit of saying, as much as I despise humanity, that they can be at times super imaginative and come up with such great ideas. I think that's awesome. And it's really sad that a lot of times these people don't have the resources to take a great idea and bring it to the world. Something could help everywhere, make everyone's lives easier or more enjoyable or more fun. I think that's great. I think it's a great way for people to do that, because I'm sure it's a very lengthy and expensive process to take a really great idea that everyone could love from conception to the marketplace in a conventional sense. I think it's great. So in that sense, I thought the idea behind crowdfunding and group funding and stuff, awesome, love it. Have I invested in anything in group funding? No, I haven't really, no. Seen some neat stuff, but I'm not a real investor guy. So that's a whole other subject of conversation. So at its heart, I feel like what I think was the intended purpose behind crowdfunding, neat idea. I think it's super great. You gotta remember, in any case like this, especially when it comes to big business, I'm not slamming capitalism, but it comes to big business, like these are the real winners, are the ones offering these services themselves. Group funding, GoFundMe, PayPal, Etsy, those bastards, they get a chunk of everything. So those are the ones that are the real winners there. So if you're aside from the spirituality, esoteric, artistic thing, if you really want to make some real money, the real money isn't offering these kinds of services to the rest of us schmucks. So just saying, they're the real winners here. From a business standpoint, amazing concept, super successful. So getting back down to earth about my rant about the crowdfunding thing. Now, you got to remember that I was born in 1970. I'm not that old. I'm not ancient or anything like that. The Vietnam War was still on. I think the Beatles were still together when I was born, so put that in perspective. So I grew up with I honestly think it was a decidedly different mentality, work ethic, so on and so forth. So the part of me that gets really annoyed by crowdfunding is, and I'm deviating away from the people who have a great idea, something they want to patent, bring to the marketplace. I'm not talking about them now. I'm talking about, let's back up a bit. I'm talking about the people I've seen recently in social media who are, I'm going to call them hobby artists. I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that in the sense of they're not doing it full time. It's not their full-time job, or actually sometimes it might be. But they are not, for example, professional museum gallery artists. They're people who are doing what they love. They're trying to make it work as a job, that kind of a thing, okay? So that's more what I'm talking about there. I don't mean hobby artists, and I'm just saying wannabe professional artists, full-time working artists, who are using crowdfunding to obtain materials, tools, funds that they need in order to help them do it on a full-time basis. Now, as a cranky, bitter old fart, the first thing that really rubs me the wrong way about that is the idea of, like, I'm sorry, but there's this voice in my head that says, I'm not going to piss people off, but it's true, I'm going to be honest, is who the fuck are you to come and ask me for money to do your goddamn painting or scribbles or your pottery or your music or whatever else? Go and get a job like me, like everyone else, work your ass off and save up for it, and then go do your thing. So there's that part of me that comes across as that. Now, that may seem harsh or severe, but I'm sure I'm not the only one that thinks that. It does rub me the wrong way. And why wouldn't it? Like, I think it's really sort of pretentious for someone to assume that why should they, like, when you think, I've said this in other videos, who wouldn't want to do what they love for a living? Who wouldn't? I would. I mean, you'd be crazy not to. And I find it really pretentious in the sense of entitlement. Once again, rant, not going to get on a whole rant about this new generation of social media and stuff, but I find it really annoying and pretentious that someone thinks it's okay to go panhandle online for money so that they can go and pursue their dream online, doing what they love and earning money that way. I find that really annoying, and it really kind of sticks pins in my old-fashioned-y, 50s-y work ethic. I'm sorry, but it does. Now, that's that rant. The thing about that you have to bear in mind with me and people like me who have the same mindset is, of course, that applies to things that don't particularly interest us. If I see someone, an artist or whatever online, and I see them offering their wares or their services and they're looking for money to do their thing, and I have really no interest in what they're offering, of course I'm going to get annoyed by that. Of course it's going to piss me off. I'm working like a goddamn Spartan on the job site every day, jackhammering shit, hurting myself, doing this and the next thing, and they're asking for money so they can stay at home and comfort and do their thing and drink their coffee. Yeah, of course it's going to piss me off. That's the hypocrite in me. That's the hypocrite in other people like me who share my mentality. And it's hypocrisy. I'm a hypocrite. What am I going to say? It's true. And it's shitty of me to do that. Shitty of you to do that too if you do it as well. Because I guarantee you, if we were approached for money for something that we truly love, probably not going to think that same way about it. I'm sorry, but it's true. Case in point, I've bought a calendar here from Jack Nodar, at Jack Nodar, one of my favorite sort of Instagram personalities. Do I need a calendar? I don't need a calendar. Do I need to spend 25 euros on a calendar? No. But I'm a big fan. My wife and I both love the guy. He's awesome. He loves animals. He's super funny. We always get a chuckle at least once a week watching his antics on Instagram. It's about supporting my favorites. I want to support him. I want to continue to see him on Instagram. I want him to continue to make me laugh on Instagram. So I have no problem giving him that. Not really crowdfunding, I get it, but it's a slippery slope. Band merchandise, for example, another great example. I have one of my favorite items of clothing is my Rammstein jacket I bought from a Rammstein concert in the States several years back. It's overpriced fan merch, I'm sure it is. It's actually, in this case, it was actually really good quality though. A lot more money than I probably would have liked to spend on it, but you know, I love them. Are they millionaires? Sure shit. Oh yeah, they don't need the money from me. They don't need a cent from me. But it's still about supporting my favorites. It's about supporting something and having something that means a great deal to me. Nothing wrong with that. But then the people who say, for example, aren't huge fans, go to buy it as a gift for somebody else who is, might get pissed off and go on the same kind of rant saying, oh, it's overpriced, they're sellouts, they don't need the money, do-de-do-de-do. I kind of get it. All right, so there it is. But I don't want to get too much into the fan merchandise stuff and this, that, and the next thing, because that's kind of a whole other conversation. But if someone has decided to go all in and really seriously pursue the idea of becoming a full-time working artist or someone in the spiritual community trying to offer a product or service, and they decide to do crowdfunding to support that, I've got a couple issues with that, like I said, because I think it's kind of a cheat. I think it's kind of a shortcut. And this time, it's not the bitter old crankety guy in me talking. It's like, from a very practical standpoint, if you pursue an endeavor like this, I honestly feel this way from years of working, just being on the earth and stuff and different businesses and so on and so forth, that if you can't do it on your own, if you can't make it happen on your own, you're kind of, it's not going to help you. It's basically going to put you in a position where, I don't know how it works, I've never done crowdfunding, like if you take investments and nothing transpires. Is it buyer beware? I don't know. But in my head, for example, if you borrowed money from the bank, if you got $20,000 of starting capital for a small business, and you don't know how to run a business, poof, you've just vaporized. You just put 20,000 bucks in a pile, poured gas on it, lit it, and watched it burn. But in that case, of course, you owe somebody 20,000 bucks, and that's super shitty. So what I'm saying is, except for the whole debt thing, don't know how that works, is it's a similar situation. If you're going to go pursue crowdfunding, if you're going to get money to buy this machine, that thing, a workspace, rent on this, blah, blah, who knows, but you can't make it work on your own, you're just wasting people's money. And I think there's something really kind of awful about that. And, you know, hey, I'm not saying that the people who invest in you and believe in you who end up losing out because you don't have a fucking clue about how to run a successful business. It's buyer beware. There's no pointing blame here. You didn't rip people off, I don't think. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're, you know, it's buyer beware. If they're not doing their due diligence, if they're just sloppily handing money to whoever they love or feel they need it, and it just disappears into space, that's their fault. So, but at the same time, I think it's kind of shitty of people who don't know what to do with the funds, who happily take it from other people, and it just basically disappears. That's really crappy of people to do that. Shame on you. So I think it's more important to, like, I stand a bit more behind people, for example, who are already well established and looking to boost it up to that next level, but just can't quite tweak it, and really have demonstrated that with that investment, they could really go that extra mile. And again, that requires a little bit of homework and due diligence. And I think it's, again, not rocket science to figure out, or at least trust your intuition. So, you know, I think that's definitely something to consider as well. But again, if that groundwork isn't there, you know, if it's just some cute goth girl, whatever, looking, making printed t-shirts, really has nothing to show, but you feel inclined to, you know, give her $100 her way or whatever so she can grow her business, I don't know. We'll see. So, I mean, I would love it. I mean, if you don't think for a second, there's a bunch more stuff I'd like to plug out my workspace with. You're nuts. And, you know, I'm not a super successful Etsy seller by any stretch of the imagination, based upon the fact that I'm still working very hard full time. I've made a little bit. I've kind of supported my hobby this way. That's absolutely for sure. And for that, you know, speaking of hypocrisy, I definitely don't want to come across as being a hypocrite trying to give advice to other people being not particularly successful myself. But to defend myself, I do want to say, because of that, I've definitely learned what doesn't work. So that I'm kind of an expert on. I haven't cracked the code. I haven't figured out what does work, what does, you know, carry me off into the clouds on the dream of becoming a full-time working artist. I don't know if I will let you know when I do. I might want to keep that one to myself, but whatever. Anyway, so crowdfunding. If you love them, if you think they're just great, if you're a huge fan, what's the difference between that and buying fan merchandise from something that you really do love? I don't think there's really a distinction for me. Again, I think people who have not demonstrated an ability to successfully run a business, who are begging for money from other people, it's a bit of a cheat. I think it's kind of shitty and shady. I don't really like it. I don't care for it that much. But again, you know, you can't hold anything against people that don't care about that stuff and looking to support their favorite. So for me, there is no clear-cut answer. And for that reason, it is kind of a love-hate thing. I don't know how else to put it. So it's, you know, hey, but I brought it up because I thought it was an interesting discussion, and there it is. So hope you enjoy your weekend.